The word perseverance means this: steady persistence in a course of action, a purpose, a state, especially in spite of difficulties, obstacles, or discouragement. The Bible is a book of persistence. Moses returned to Egypt after 40 years in exile to set Israel free. Moses, the murderer. Moses, whose face was plastered on every post office wall throughout Egypt. God called him to try again at the point of his greatest failure. Persistence is going back to my greatest failure and trying again. Persistence is Noah working on one project for 120 years, with all of humanity laughing at him. His generation had never seen rain, hundreds of miles from a body of water. Noah's persistence is building an ark. Persistence put the animals on the boat. Persistence put his wife and children on the boat with blue skies and warm weather, but his persistence saved his family and it saved the world. Persistence is the 3 Hebrew children standing before Nebuchadnezzar saying, "We will not bend, we will not bow, we will not burn." Persistence is a fire in your bones that will carry you through ridicule, rejection, and reversal. Persistence does not need public approval. Persistence does not need a pat on the back. Persistence could care less about being politically correct. Persistence says in faith, mountains, get out of my way. Persistence says nothing is impossible for God. Persistence says if God be for me, who can be against me? Persistence says the victory is ours through Christ the Lord. Persistence says faith is the victory that overcometh the world. Persistence says I can do all things through Christ who give me strength. Persistence looks at 10,000 coming against you from every direction as King David and says, though a host should encamp against me, let God arise and let his enemies be scattered. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high because he has known my name. He shall call upon me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him with long life, and I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. The armies encamp against me. The war may rise against me. I shall fear no evil, for he shall hide me in the pavilion of his tabernacle, and he shall comfort me, and he shall set me high upon a rock. We know that rock to be Jesus Christ, precious and elect in Zion, and it's upon that rock that I will build my foundation, and the gates of hell shall not overcome it. Persistence, people take action. The Pope was in New York. He is picked up at the airport by a limousine. He looks at the beautiful car and says to the driver, "You know, I hardly ever get to drive. Can I drive, please?" The driver is understandably hesitant and says, "I'm sorry, I don't think I'm supposed to do that." But the Pope persists. "Please?" The driver finally lets up. "Oh, all right, I can't really say no to the Pope." So the Pope takes the wheel, and boy, is he a speed demon. I mean, he is Stephanie Norville in her white car all over town. He hits the gas pedal to the metal. He goes 100 miles an hour in a 45 zone. A policeman notices and pulls him over. The cop walks up and asks the Pope to roll down the window. Startled and surprised, the young officer asks the Pope to wait a minute. He goes back and radios to his chief and says, "Chief, I have a problem." "What sort of problem?" "Well, you see, I pulled over this guy for driving way over the speed limit, but it's someone else. It's someone really important." "Important like the mayor?" No, much more important than that. Important like the governor. Way more important than that. Like the president? More. Who's more important than the president? I don't know. but he's got the Pope driving him all over town. Persistence. Persistent people are not controlled by circumstances or other people. It's through persistence that tiny seed begins to fight and struggle its way through the dirt and the hard rocks until it finally emerges above the soil. Then it has to endure the winds and the rain, the hot summers and the harsh winters. Once it has persevered through all those elements, then and only then can that tiny seed become a mighty oak tree. Nothing great has ever been accomplished without persistence. Persistence is our greatest weapon we may use to fight adversity. Anything in life that is worth having will come with adversity and resistance. When I'm in the iron paradise, clanging and banging for Jesus, it's the resistance of the weight that causes my muscles to grow. Without the resistance of water, that ship can't sail through the night. Without the resistance of air, that 747 cannot soar through the sky. Persistence overcomes resistance. Every person in the Bible who did something wonderful for God was a persistent person. There is nothing half-hearted or lukewarm about persistence. Persistence is bold. Persistence is daring. It does not hesitate. It does not look back over its shoulder at yesterday's mistakes. Persistence is not manipulated by the lie that says I must have everybody's approval to succeed. Persistence does not look at failure in yesterday's history and allow it to affect their performance today. Persistence doesn't play the blame game. Persistence does not quit. Judas Iscariot became a disciple of Christ and betrayed our Lord with a kiss, and then he hung himself. He began well, but he quit. Adolf Hitler began his career in a Catholic school, wanting to be a priest. He began well, but he gave up, and the demons of hell birthed the concept called the Holocaust. Joseph Stalin and Karl Marx were both seminary students. They began well, but they quit. Stalin murdered 30 million Russians. The Bible does not say those who begin well shall be saved. It says those who endure until the end shall be saved. Paul, who was a portrait of perseverance, he wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. He did not write it from the French Riviera with Stephen and the band singing "How Great Is Our God." He wrote it from a dark, filthy, disease-ridden, rat-infested dungeon. He did not complain. He did not mope. He did not whimper. Paul put pen to parchment and he said, "Rejoice." And again I say rejoice. Greater is he who's in me than he who's in the world. He said, "I've worked harder, much harder, was in prison more frequently, flogged more severely, and exposed to death again and again. 5 times I received from the Jews the 40 lashes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods, once pelted with stones. 3 times I was shipwrecked." He spent a night and a day in the open sea and was constantly on the move. He was in danger from rivers, in danger from bandits, in danger from his fellow Jews, in danger from Gentiles. He was in danger in the city, in danger in the country, in danger at sea, and in danger from false believers. How many of Paul was in danger? He labored and toiled and often went without sleep. He knew hunger and thirst and often went without food. He was cold and he was naked, but Paul did not quit. On another location, he said, "I'm hard pressed on every side. I'm not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, I'm not abandoned. I've been knocked down, but I'm not knocked out. Satan has thrown everything he has at me, even the kitchen sink, but I'm still up on my feet, marching toward glory." That's the victory that's worth the fight.